here today. By the way, he's the best dressed one of all of us on the Skee Ball virtual event here today. But one thing we do want to say, we're winding down and taking donations. The deadline is not today, but maybe as we think through this, rather, we might have a opportunity, and we can send you to the CU website, but be thinking about how you'd like to come alongside the event and the program and maybe help financially. You can donate at cubus.com/skee-ball. As I mentioned, we've got some phenomenal individuals on the event here today, and I want to get to each one of them to kind of start things off with maybe, I think, an opening statement. And certainly we're going to start with the best dressed guy in the room, undoubtedly. I mean, look at the outfit on Richard Rokos today. Man, you make the rest of us feel bad here today, Richie. I mean, I didn't realize there was a dress code for the Skee Ball here today.
No, it's not dress code for you. It's dress code for me. You know, for me, this is 30th Skee Ball, and to be dressed up, it comes along with it. Obviously, Skee Ball is fantastic social event, and I'm trying to keep it that way. Even I'm here alone in empty ski team building. But you know, going to this dress, there is one story behind it, and it goes to Bill Marolt. I came to my first Skee Ball, 1990, and Helena bought me this nice Christmas red camber band, and I didn't know nothing about football, about the fact that next day it's Nebraska game. So there was Friday, Saturday Nebraska game, and I came with a red bow tie and a red camber band, and Bill looked at me and he said, "Go home and change." So that's how we started our relationship. And I think TIm LaVallee was obviously my boss at that time, and he didn't even know what to think about it because there was such a immediate reaction. Here goes Nebraska, go and change.
Richie, I mentioned this is your 31st and final season, leading the CU ski team as a head coach. 1991 to present, 8 national championships, 42 individual national championships, 225 All-Americans. I mean, the numbers are outstanding. You've coached 181 events, 73 victories in that, 14 RMISA championships. As you stand here today, kind of just on the doorstep of your final season, what comes to mind? What do you think about? What do you reminisce about? Or don't you allow yourself to reminisce, think you got a competitive ski season ahead of you?
You know, I can look back like this, or I can look back like this, and see all those things. Those are not my accomplishment. It's 50 years of the ski team, and all those who are here today with us were part of it. They brought every piece, and it's very appealing to me, and I just love what I'm doing. And the fact is that when I got hired, you adapt the program. It's running train, and train running very well, very old, and going very fast. So I got hired, and I thought, like, okay, this is going some direction. I better to stay on that train, because if I'll jump, I'll get hurt. So I was just a victim of the fact that everything was in place and everything was perfectly ran. So what else to do? Continue. No chance. And obviously, yes, this is my last year, and I'll miss it. I'll obviously stay around the program and close to it as much as I can. I have 30 years of blast, and I cannot regret 1 minute of it.
Well, we knew you'd be humble, but we're not going to let you get off that easy with some of the great accomplishments you had. Let's move on for an opening statement. Bill Marolt, ski team member under Bobby Addy from 1963 to 1966. 4 individual NCAA championships. He was the coach of the ski team from 68 to 78. 7 national championships, the athletic director from 84 to 96. And one of the great numbers I love about Bill Marolt is he's linked to 27 of the 29 national championships we have here in all the sports at the University of Colorado. And Bill, welcome. You and I had a chance to sit down here a few weeks ago and reminisce a little bit, but off the top here, what do you want to say about Richie and this great ski program?
Well, thanks, Mark. As I sit here and I look at I look at all of the faces on the screen, it brings back awesome memories. And the first thing I'd like to say is just thanks to all the athletes that have been part of this program for the past 50 years. Thanks for their hard work, contribution, and making all this possible, because at the end of the day, it doesn't happen unless you've got great kids. Congratulations to them. But the same goes with Richard and Tim, both Tims, and to Paul. Congratulations to you guys, because you've been great leaders. You've been awesome in terms of motivating, and what you've done is you've taken the program, taken it as it was and made it better. And that's a sign of great leadership, and that's really what's created this organization. And I think that the skee ball is amazing, because what it does is it brings all of us back together. And there are not many fundraisers or alumni meetings that have gone on for that long. And I think what's really amazing about it is that it's really been an internally generated group. The skee ball committee always has a fantastic volunteer as a chairman, and then former team members and current team members, they make it go around. So to you coaches, it was awesome. You were awesome, and I laugh as I look. Tim Henderman was on our first NCAA championship team, and it was a pretty amazing group. It was Tim, a guy named Mike Porcarelli, George Foster, Kerry Adgate, who a lot of people don't know went to CU. Adgate later went on to the U.S. team, went to the Olympics. Our cross-country team, and Tom Gates, I should mention Tom, and our cross-country team, believe it or not, were all Americans. Raul Willie from Aspen, Ron Yeager from Durango, and Jeff Crabtree from Jackson, Wyoming. We had two Norwegians, two jumpers, Arnie Haugen and Vidar Nilsgaard, and our third jumper, who I missed. Who was the third jumper, Hindo?
Well, was that Carl Busk? Carl.
No, it was
Vidar?
No, Nilsgaard and Haugen were the Norgies. Maybe it was. Could have been Steve Gaskell.
No.
Jack Turner.
No. Hang on, I'll get it. Keep going.
Oh, the memory fades over the years, doesn't it?
Well, it was JJ Rand.
You're exactly right, Jay Rand. He says, how could I forget that? He was one of the really good, great American ski jumpers.
I hope he's not
anyway, but that was the start, and then it just continued on. That group was awesome, and then the whole group with Gamble and Temple and Pearson, and then it was just a fantastic ride with great kids. And when I left, Hindo jumped in and took it and ran with it, and as I said, made it better.
Well, let's go to Tim Hinderman. He was head coach from 1979 to 1983, replacing Bill, as he just mentioned. He stretched that streak to 8 straight NCAA championships with that 1979 title, then led the men's team to the 82 NCAA championship. The same year, C won both the women's AIAW and the men's NCAA championship. Coached the Buffs to 12 event wins and 38 events coached. Won 2 individual RMISA championships, 1971, downhill and alpine combined, All-American in 71 and 72. So, Tim, we find out between you and Bill Marolt, you're the brains of the operation with a great memory back there. But what's your first couple of thoughts as we get together for our virtual skee ball here today?
First of all, I want to make sure that it's okay that I'm here, because the last skee ball I went to, I was asked to leave after I made some comments lewd comments, I might add, about Marolt's coaching style when he was being honored as And so I haven't been back since, and I'm a little worried that somebody's going to come grab me in a minute. But
Well, remember, it is a family program. That's all we ask.
well, I asked if there were any kids in the audience before I said it. Anyway, no, it's great. It's an honor to be here. It's a pleasure to be here. It's great to be here. You know, it's hard to figure out what to talk about and but you know, again, the memories are great. From the first day I walked on campus, and you know, it's funny to think about how the world has changed in a lot of ways, but thinking about showing up as a freshman in 1969 versus taking your own kids to school years later and being the parents that's dropping the kids off, and just thinking about how the experience has changed and yet how it stayed the same. And 5 minutes after my mom drove away, my roommate from Ironwood, Michigan, Porcarelli, rolled into school. No, there was no mom there. He was solo on his Triumph 500 motorcycle. So, and you know, the rest is history. But anyway, no, it was great. And from the first, you know, from that day on, it was a great experience every day, every year. And you know what, even for the years I spent there as a competitor, and then being able to go back, you know, and be a coach was, you know, made it really special. And that's something that you know, not very many of us have been able to do. But it's you know, a lot of memories, and a lot of, obviously, a great learning experience. And you know, it made, as we say, looking back, it made us who we are today. And it's you know, I've never regretted it, that's for sure.
Now, on to Paul Major. He was the head Alpine coach from 1982 to 1984, coaching the women's Alpine team in 1982, the men's Alpine team in 83, the women's team again in 84, was an Alpine assistant coach in 1981, coached the AIAW women's Alpine team that year for the Buffs, won the the championship that year, skied for the Buffaloes in 1980. And Paul, and welcome, and give us an opening statement and just some thoughts about your time with the Buffaloes and what this ski program means.
Well, thank you. And it's an honor to be with all of these guys. But, you know, as they're talking about memories and they're pulling up all of these names of athletes, the memories that are etched in my mind is freezing my butt off at Lake Eldora, setting courses or setting tracks. So that's one memory, is just freezing at Lake Eldora. And I know there are great days at Lake Eldora. And the other is, you know, getting that call in the middle of the night to bail out an athlete from jail. So those are, you know, it's a little bit different memory. But, you know, I think back to the idea of tradition. You know, the skee ball is a great tradition, and skiing is a great tradition. You know, if you think about this sport, it goes back generations, and we do it as a generational, as all of our families, our kids, and that's the reflection of the skee ball. And that's really the reflection of the Buff program, is that it's a great tradition. And it's hard to find that, frankly, in our world, and it's hard to find that in other sports. So, you know, I'm super proud to be part of this family. And, you know, I skied for Bill, I think, for about 15 minutes, and then Hindo came in, and I tried to ski for Hindo. Then I went to grad school and got recruited to coach the team because nobody else would, and who would coach women? You know, Tim and Bill have no idea how hard it is to coach women. And then Bill recruited me to the U.S. ski team, so I carried on a career. And of course, once I got to the ski team, Bill left and came back to be the AD at CU and took it on to greatness. And then I recruited Bill back to the U.S. ski team. And then I left. So it's been a great family, and it all started being a skier for the Buffs and working as a coach. So thank you.
All right. And last but certainly not least, TIm LaVallee was the head coach from 1988 to 1990. Brought in Richard Rokos, as you mentioned, as an assistant Alpine coach in 1989. Coached 5 NCAA individual champions, 4 RMISA individual champions. Buss took 3rd at the NCAA all 3 years and 2nd twice at the RMISA championships during his 3 years. And from this moment on, will forever be known as the guy who allowed Richard Rokos to wear a red tie to a Colorado-Nebraska football game. Tim, welcome.
Thank you very much. You know, as I sit here and I reflect a little bit, I have several thoughts. One is the skee ball represents a regathering of the family, the Buff family. And even though this is very confined with 6 of us on the screen today, I look here and I see my former boss twice, Bill Marolt, who hired me at the ski team, hired me to come to, had the trust in me to come to see you. And Bill, I will tell you, I have repeated this so many times, you're going to think I'm lying, but there were 2 influential bosses that I had in my life that I have said that I would take any day a long walk off a short plank for. And you, my friend, are one of them. Your leadership, your mentoring, your ability to produce winners, motivate winning is unbelievable. I go from there, Paul, it's been a long time, but you'll never know how much I learned from you when we were at the ski team together. I watched every move you made. I kept one eye on the bulletin board and one ear on the railroad track, and I tried to learn everything I could. And you did a hell of a job of mentoring me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. And Bill, I just want to mention, when I commended you on your leadership, the other person in my life that I would take that long walk off that short plank for is a guy named Bill Clough. Does that name ring any bell with you?
For sure, for sure. Is that John's
You know
dad?
you know a guy named John Clough?
Yeah, I do.
Skied with you, right?
He skied, yeah. John went to Middlebury. He was at Middlebury the same time Gordy was.
That's right. Bill Clough is the other one in my life that has influenced me like you have. Anyway, short story. So Paul, I thank you very much. And finally, but certainly not least, Richard, the best move that I made in the time that I was at the University of Colorado was to bring you in to help me with that program. And I remember one of those initial conversations, you were laying tile somewhere one day when we met up. We talked about it and I was so impressed. I knew you were the guy that I had to have by my side to help me with that program. And certainly on the Alpine side, you brought a lot of success during those years that I was there. And I'm forever grateful to you. The other skee ball story I will tell you is, as we sit here with a skee ball, when Bill hired me to come to see you, 2 stories. I landed there. My first day at work, I drove into the parking lot down at the ski building, and I started through the turnstile, and the football team was coming out, Bill McCartney, and one coach walked out, and we stopped face to face at the turnstile, and he said, "I know you." And I said, "I know you. How do we know each other?" And he said, "You're from Maine." And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "I used to come to Bethel and I recruited 3 of your football players to come up to the University of Maine." Bill, do you know who that was?
I know, I don't remember.
Jerry Donato.
No way.
Yeah, Jerry Donato, after he graduated from Notre Dame, went to the University of Maine and was a graduate assistant while he did his graduate work. And one of his jobs while he was at Maine was to recruit. And that's how we knew each other. But anyway, Bill, the part that I will never forgive you for, shortly after I arrived at Boulder, at CU, I found out about this thing called the skee ball. And it had to generate a lot of money to support the program. And I said, who was it? Buryanek. I think I was in Buryanek's office. What was his first name? John Buryanek. And we're going through this, and I said, I have no idea what this is all about. And I forget the figure, but the figure scared the life out of me. I said, how in God's name am I ever going to do this? Anyway, I go back down to the office and I start doing a little research on the computer about the skee ball because I want to learn as much as I can about it. Come to find out, there was a guy named Bob Kendall, who in 1970 was one of your athletes.
Right.
That came to you and convinced you, or between the two of you, you got the whole skee ball going. Well, the short story about Bob Kendall is you may or may not remember, Bob is from Auburn, which is about 10 miles down the road from where I'm sitting here right now. And I knew Dick, his dad. I knew Mary, his sister. I knew Tommy, who was very involved in the East here in NCAA skiing, doing all the scoring, knew that whole family. So that was, I'm getting goosebumps. That was kind of the inspiration for me to say, hey, by God, if another Mainer can take this on and get this thing going, by God, I'm not going to let anybody down. I'm going to do the best job I can to carry this forth. So, but I'll never forgive you. You should have told me when you hired me that this was part of what you were going to lay on my desk.
Hey, Bill, take us back. I think when you and I sat down and talked here a few weeks back, you started talking about the inception of the skee ball to the point that Tim's making. Go back and tell us where this whole thing came from and how it got started.
Well, Bob Kendall was a member of the ski team, but at the same time, he was a member of the U.S. team, and he had gone to, could have been the New York skee ball, I don't know. But anyway, after that, he came back to campus and said, you know, we really should start something like the U.S. ski team has. And, you know, it sounded like a really good idea to me. So we sat down, Bob and I, I'm sure, you know, you all remember Patty McNeely. I'm sure Patty was part of that group, Gene Pellegrin, Craig Held, I think. And we put together the idea of doing this fundraiser and doing it sort of like the team had done. The difference is that, you know, the U.S. team did theirs at the Waldorf in New York City, and we did ours at the Elks Club here in North Boulder. and I don't know how many of you guys remember Freddie and Henchy. You guys remember that name?
Oh, yeah, Freddie Henchy and the
Yes.
Soul Setters.
Exactly right. They were our first band, and we rolled into the Elks Club and Freddie and Henchy right there, and we rock and rolled for you know, I think that was 2 years there. The price, you know, the entry fee was $35, and that started it. And then it carried on. I think it evolved, you know, it changed in the format, and the theme changed through the years. But the idea always was to, you know, add some incremental support to the ski team budget. And it's been doing that for 50 years.
And Bill, if I could just add, during the time that I was there, I would pay special tribute to the skee ball committee that comes together every year, that helps Richard, that helped me, I'm sure helped all of the coaches that have been there, put that whole evening together. The skee ball committee was phenomenal when I was there. And hey, I would thank them more than you'll ever know.
Guys, let me jump in this one because I would like to actually express my appreciation to all chairs of skee ball committee, because it's not easy job. It's usually done, or always done, by someone who's not affiliated with CU, not with university. So it's on his time and money usually. And, you know, for most of the years since I came, and I know that he was there well before me. I was in Ferguson. And I think, Bill, you will probably remember, was he the first chair of the skee ball committee?
No, he came later. I have to think for a minute about who was the first chair. The actual first chair, because as I said, you know, the first two were really myself and Bob and I think Patty. But I think later on, Jack Beatty, and it was a group of Jack Beatty and Denny Mullen, Eddie Lyons, kind of a group that hung together out at the country club. So they sort of pushed it for a while. Then Ian came on after them, and he was there for a long time.
Ian was here roughly 30 years, almost 30 years. And then it changed the hand back and forth, couple of years. Jody Massoni, my secretary, was chair of the committee. And then Bruce Gamble and Dale Pearson came for 2 years, and they made it in a fantastic enterprise. You know, we made more money than ever before because both those guys have a very, strongly business-oriented mind, and they put it in a new level. And obviously, I miss them. They are both around, but they are no longer chairs of the committee or co-chairs. And most recently, and I want to actually throw a couple names, this year it's Sue Forward, Sue Riston. I mean, we know Sue since, Bill, you know her probably as a little kid, pretty much. And she's back. She knows everybody. It's fantastic to have someone like this because she goes around and she doesn't need to ask because she knows who is who and what to do with him. And mostly she knows personalities as well. So that's what helps a lot.
Yeah,
and by the way, Richie, the message was passed along from Sue that I'm supposed to pass along to all of you guys is that in this year, when tonight we would have been having the 50th Skee Ball in person, the idea was to celebrate coaching excellence. And so she has passed along the order to all of you that next year, knock on wood, when we all get together and we'll celebrate the 50th event, then you're all been ordered to make sure that you're there in person next year. So put that on your calendar right now. That comes from.
Hey, can I just say this about Sue Forward? She's incredible, and I have memories, but in her organizing this right now, today, where we're at, her level of communication has been phenomenal. I mean, I have, since this started and I got involved, Richard, I don't know how many emails I've had. So she's an organizer, and hey, you guys keep her on board for a while. And I got an email from her this afternoon, and I'm sure you all did too. You know, don't forget, here's the link. And I went right back and I said, Sue, you're unbelievable. So hey, don't lose her for a while.
See, what everybody needs to realize as you get older, you need 3 or 4 emails just to keep reminding you so you don't forget, right? But you guys, you're going to really laugh. And Sue is awesome, and she really, you know, Bruce and Dale really took the thing and sort of reorganized it, re-energized it. But being a chair of anything, a volunteer chair, after about 3 years, you sort of get worn down. And Sue has jumped in after those 2 guys, and as Richie and Tim have both said, done a phenomenal job. She loves it. She's involved, and she really is. She's a terrific leader. But what you guys are going to really be amazed at is she started babysitting our 2 kids when she was 13 years old. So that's how long Connie and I have known her. Is that amazing?
Well, can any organization be more corrupted like this? It's the deepest root of corruption. Along with this, I want to also recognize a couple of people. They were helping for a while and for years, and they never got recognized. Candy Neshine, she is Fred Casari's daughter, and she was working on Skee Ball committee as a decorator. And year after year, she came with new idea. One year we were hosting Skee Ball on, we actually end up going to some film studio and borrowed all stuff for you know, what is this American celebration of with candies and all those stuff now?
Halloween?
Halloween, exactly. So we bought coffins, we bought tombstones. Made it, the whole room looked like cemetery. For Pete's sake, that was so scary. And I ended up next day with this all in van, trying to find a way to place to return it. They were closed. So lots of scary things. Gwen and Mark Spahns, you know, they were working with us for decades, and same thing, never get any closer than skee ball. They came and they enjoy it, but otherwise they are just extremely hard workers. Terry Benjamin, Lisa Van Gore, you know, people like this. Those are people, Rick Foster, they lay down their heart for ski team, and everything what is here behind, that's a product of coaches and athletes on a top level. But that little feedback and behind everything, that's what makes it happen. And I'm really appreciating everything what every help out of those people. That's fantastic.
By the way, once again, just for those viewers we've got here today, you can go to cubus.com/skee-ball. And if you'd like to come alongside and donate and help support the ski team for this upcoming season, I want to just throw something at you guys and let you guys kind of go back and forth. The one thing that has struck me, I got here to see you and started doing the games in 2004, and then, you know, got my exposure to the ski team. The thing that amazes me about this program, and just listening to you guys talk here today, really illustrates that. I think backs up what I'm about to say, and that is there's this family atmosphere. There's a connection between all of you. But this skee ball has been an event every year where it comes together, and it's like a family reunion all the time. And Paul, I'll throw it out to you and let you kind of kick things off here. Where does that come from? Now, obviously, each one of you as a coach inherited some degree of that and tried to build upon it. But where does that come from, and why is it so strong with this program specifically?
Joint suffering. No, it's in all seriousness. Yeah, no, it's suffering. It's not suffering. It's hard work. It's dedication. It's focus. It's outcomes. It's about, it's about winning. And, when you work hard for a common goal, whether you're a coach or an athlete or you work on the skee ball committee, you're working towards a common goal. You're working towards greatness. And, Richard's standing in front of our, evidence of that. And that is a unique, family to be part of, to be able to work towards greatness. And that's really what the Buff program is. And, I just to, put a point on that, the skee ball, we kind of forgot, it is a great tradition. It is a family event that brings us all together, but it also generates money for the program. And as one of my friends says, it takes gold to win gold. And so it's resources to the program to be that great program. So I just don't want to miss that point, that it is so critical to raise those monies to frankly have the resources to be the best program in the country. So it is a great family, and it frankly is, that family is created by having this common focus on being great and working towards that, and maybe not always accomplishing it, but to have that always out in front.
At some point, the culture and the history and the tradition becomes as stronger than any one individual. And so, in my case, having been here as a competitor in the early 70s, and taking the skee ball when it was just getting started. And then when I came back in 78 to coach, I'd coached since I had left school. I'd been coaching off and on, and was coaching full time for a couple of years right before I came back. But, I walked in and I can remember meeting Bill my first day on the job, and in the office in the basement of the UMC, and I walked in and I was Hindu by then, yeah, and It was like, here's a file drawer and here's what's in it, and here's a file drawer, and yeah, I gotta go meet Whitey for lunch, and I was, see you later, here's the keys. So and then the whole skee ball thing, and literally, I wasn't immediately accepted by the standing skee ball committee at the time, but some of those names, Ian Ferguson was there, Dana Anderson was there, Jack Beatty was there, Carolyn Pine was just getting started from Hanson. Those people, it was like I didn't even have to be there, and they got me through the first year, the first 2 years, and then finally you're into the mold and you're into the swing of things, and you just go forward. But the culture and the tradition is just driving to the point where it obviously takes people to step in and to take control. But the whole thing, the machine, like a lot of great dynasties, if you will, the machine really is as powerful as the individuals, and vice versa.
Any other thoughts from the rest of you gentlemen?
Yeah, let me just throw this in. I want to go back. I want to reflect a little bit on what Tim just said, and certainly what Paul just said, and go back to what I was trying to say. Winning starts at the top. Leadership starts at the top, and it filters down through all your programs. And I think I have this straight, Bill. When you brought me in to see you, the football program was struggling, and it seems like somebody told me having trouble filling all the seats in the stadium. And I watched your leadership and your support of Bill McCartney and his staff begin to elevate that football program up. And I was lucky enough during the time that I was there to watch those teams win a national championship. I saw the same thing during the time that I was at the ski team. The leadership started at the top, and it filtered all the way down through all of the staff and the programs. I felt that when I was at CU. I'll never forget something that you told me one day in your office. We're just sitting there talking, and you said, "Timmy, nobody will ever ask you who finished second." I've never forgotten that. "Timmy, nobody will ever ask you who finished second." And if that wasn't motivation, I don't know what was. But I don't care whether it's CU or any athletic program, any business, the leadership starts at the top and it drifts down through all the different layers. And I think certainly during the time that I was at CU, during the time that Bill has been at CU, and a good part of the time that Richard's been at CU, Paul, Tim, we're fortunate to have the leadership that was exemplified from the top at the University of Colorado.
In one way, we are extremely lucky in our lives because something brings us together more than anything else. This experience with this place, and obviously athletes same exact way. It has such a deep root in tradition because generations are experiencing exactly the same thing. Same place, Green Mountain Run, it's still Green Mountain Run. Eldora, you freeze your hands, Paul, 30 years ago, and nowadays, same exact thing. Everybody will probably recall all turns in Canyon on the way up and on the way down. So all those things are legendary, and a couple of years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, it's Thursday night out. I didn't know until later when I was here at CU, but Thursday night out, it was a common thing about students in university. They were out on Thursday. And I called to Norway and I asked John Skyem, Jano, do Thursday night out in Norway. And I sent him email addresses of kids. They were on team 1985, 86, Frederick Zimmer, all the way to 2018. And he organized in Oslo Thursday night out. And all generations came. Some of them were actually, older than their own kids. So it was a mix of people. They experienced the same place in different time, but exactly the same experience. They have had blast. They were sending me, thank you. This was best night of my life, because even they were 30 years apart, they still knew the turn before you come to Baker Dam. It's drifting out. So all those things are very special for people. And I think all athletes have a fantastic memory of this place, and they always will have.
I'm going to change the subject slightly here. And I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to see the American Downhiller, the movie that just came out 2 weeks ago, that Joe J. Jalbert was I think the producer and was involved. I know he was involved with it, but it's a history of the American Downhiller. But the whole first half of the movie, it's like a revolving door of guys from CU. Barrows, Lafferty, Cash was actually in it. And it goes back to the beginning. Well, it goes back to Buddy Warner at the Honigum. It opens with Buddy Warner winning the Honigum in whatever it was, 50 something. But you just really feel the influence if you know the players and you know the story, and you kind of know the history of American skiing. There's about a third of that movie where you could just see Green Mountain in the background, and you can just feel the influence of the University of Colorado on the whole culture. And it's a great movie. I would recommend it.
That's the thing about this program. And Bill, maybe you can speak to that with not only your involvement here at the University of Colorado and in all forms around that program, as a competitor, as the head coach, as an administrator, overseeing it, what you did with USA Skiing. I'm wondering, just a thought from you about the importance of this program, and not just what it means here in Boulder, but what it means to the world of American skiing, to Tim's point, and what that movie's about.
No, I think that, from my perspective, two thoughts. The University of Colorado was my launch pad. I came here in the fall of 1961. Bob Beatty was our coach, who was an interesting character, and all of us know him, and all of us had different experiences and different relationships. But the USSA hired him as the coach of the World Championship team for 1962, and he was the only coach in the United States that would coach both men and women. Nobody else wanted to coach the men because the women were all really pretty damn good. Everybody wanted to coach the women's team, but nobody wanted to coach the men. And the Ski Association didn't have enough money to hire two coaches, so they hired him. And you guys all know he came from Middlebury, had a good athletic background. He was a skier, but he was also a football player. So a lot of his approach, a lot of the mentality came from him. A lot of what this program ultimately turned out. And one of my favorite stories about Beatty was when he was playing football, and the New York Giants were having their first camp somewhere in New Hampshire, Vermont. I don't have any idea. But anyway, he went to their practice site, snuck under the fence, and started listening to the coaches. And the coaches for the Giants at that time, Tom Landry was the defensive coordinator, and Vince Lombardi was the offensive coordinator. Wow. So that's where he sort of took a lot of his, approach, and the whole idea of team, that was him. That was his bell cow. And he believed in team. He said, even in an individual sport, the individual can't win without team. And that's really true in skiing. You have to have a team to put you in the position to win. But that really was a time when skiing in the US really did, competitive skiing really took off.
Mhm.
And it was born right here at the University of Colorado, right here on this campus. Buddy was here. Jimmy Huga came. Eventually, as you said, Hindo, Mike Lafferty, Adgate, Greg Jones, Spider Savage, Jim Barrows, the list goes on and on. But that really was kind of the focal point that got the whole thing moving. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about leadership, and I learned a lot about myself during those years, during that period of time from 61 to 67, when I was on both the US and on the CU team. It was a great learning experience. And out of that, came where we are today. And, again, into what you said, ultimately the culture becomes so strong, the team becomes so strong. It's not self-perpetuating, but the train keeps moving. And if you're a visionary and you're a leader, you keep that going on. And that's what you did. That's what Tim did, Paul, Richard, you all took the bit in your mouth and you charged. And that's what it takes. That's what it takes to keep this thing going. And it's not easy. Nothing is ever guaranteed. You're always on the edge. You're always on the edge of one side is success and the other side is finishing second. So you can't lose your focus. You can't take anything for granted. And these are all things that I learned when I was part of the team, when Beatty was our coach. And again, it was a great family atmosphere. And that was my goal when I started to coach. I wanted to perpetuate what had been started here.
Well, and the other thing,
can I just say this, Bill? Yeah, I'm listening to you, and again, I'm getting goosebumps. But learning, and I said to Paul, "Hey, you were one of my mentors." During the time that I was at CU, and like I said, Jerry Donato and I had known each other from, and obviously I come from a football background also, but was not very good. But I knew Jerry, and then I got to know Bill. And one day I'm up near your offices, and I said to Bill McCartney, I said, "Hey, Coach, could I come around in the afternoons when I'm free and just watch practices?" And he said, "What do you want to do that for?" And I said, I want to learn something. I want to see how you organize. I want to see how you move. And every opportunity I had, I would go over there on that practice field, and I'd stand there with Bill up in his tower and the coaches, and one of the managers blowing the whistle, and everybody scurrying around for 10 minutes and blowing the whistle and scurrying around. I learned so much, again, about organization from watching those guys. And so, hey, sounds like you and I have had very similar experiences in that learning environment, and trying to absorb that and trying to help us as coaches become the very best that we can possibly be. So I totally concur with what you're saying.
It's also interesting, and is as a coach, as you get more experience and you get better at it, you also learn from your athletes. You recruit kids from all over the country, and they've come from different backgrounds, and they've had different experience and different coaches. Hindo brought a lot to our program. He brought a lot of background. His coach was a guy. That's yeah. Hindo was one of the first racers that came with ski boots he had entered from the side. but it's true. I mean, you start conversations with your kids, and pretty soon they're talking about something that you haven't thought about, something that they brought from their home program. His coach was a guy named Martin Hale, who I knew from the time I was a little kid. Idolized him. So it's interesting how, you evolve as an individual, how you evolve as a leader, how you evolve into being different, being creative, and motivating people.
Indo, you look like you had something you wanted to say.
Well, the other thing that it occurs to me that has always gone along with my experience, and certainly I learned it at CU, and a big key to the success for many years was, it's not complicated. There's about 4 or 5 things you got to do, and don't ever forget them, and always do them right, and pound them and pound them and pound them. And I mean, to this day, that's just somewhat how you learn to live, and you learn how to do what you do. But I think that was one of the things I took away, and it seems like, at least for the years that I was most involved, that was really one of the keys to the success is that it's not, don't make it complicated. Don't try to make it complicated. Don't overanalyze it. Do 4 things or 5 things and do them right, and do them over and over again. And that was, I think that was, that I'm sure that originally came from Beatty, and I know that it came, that Bill inherited that, and I learned that through skiing under Bill, and that's what I tried to instill as a coach, and I think it's a big part of the ongoing success is you just did it right. You did a few things and you did them right, and you didn't try to make it into rocket science.
Hey, I've got a great idea.
Go ahead, Tim.
Listening to all of this information, why don't we get together and form a coaches organization, and we'll tour the country for a year and just provide coaches coaches education? How does that sound to you guys? Because I think I think there are sports in this country right now, and there are people trying to coach sports in this country that could use what has just been said here in the last 10 or 15 minutes, guys.
Only if
Go
we
ahead.
can get one of those old vans.
No. Yeah, we'll resurrect the green weenies. You guys are going to really laugh at this one. You can tell I'm really old. So this morning I go on my laptop and I start, because I want to know what's going on with the fires here in Colorado, and I pull up this map, and for the life of me, I started following the map north, and then it occurred to me that one of the first NCAAs that I coached in was at a ski area in South Dakota, Terry Peak, South Dakota.
Terry Peak, South Dakota.
So the reason I'm telling you that story is because Terry Peak, 2 things. I think we finished 3rd or something that year, but that was the first time that we had recruited a Norwegian onto the CU team since I had been there. We went to Rapid City, South Dakota to pick up Vidar, bring him back. He was still half asleep when he jumped and won the jumping meet. But then as I looked at that website, I noticed that it was in the Northern Division, Hindo, and you have an active ski club at Terry Peak, South Dakota.
We do, and it's 17 hours away, and we have to go there every single year, and it's a 2-day drive each way for a 2-day race.
No, and the other thing is that Tim is the president of the Northern Division now, which is, the USSA has.
Yeah.
This is for you, Mark. The other guys know this. The USSA has 7 divisions. As Hindo is the president of the Northern Division. Oh shit! That's funny. I was laughing. So, like I said, you can tell I'm getting old, Paul.
Yeah. Hey, I'm wondering, Richard, as you sit here and you're listening to this conversation, And somebody mentioned, might have been Bill a moment ago, that talked about when you take this program over, there's an expectation that goes along with it. And I wonder, as you're at the end of your tenure now, your final season, Richard, but when you take this program, you remember back to 1991 when you ascended the head coaching position, you've got this cloud of witnesses that's kind of watching you. Is there a little pressure that comes along with that position when you first get here? Like, well, there's been greatness has been laid down here. What am I going to do with this now that it's in my lap?
You know, it goes back to comparison to the train. Train is moving, and if you look back too much, you get sick. So you have to look ahead and try to just look for your destiny. And we went through lots of tradition and what happened and memories and beautiful, fantastic. You know, I would like to mention a little bit this year because there is a whole team in a whole new era. No conventional wisdom can be applied for this, what we do nowadays, you know, and I have to really go back to my roots back in communist regime when we were scrambling and improvising and doing things totally out of proportion because we didn't have sources and we didn't have resources, we didn't have anything. And nowadays planning the season, it's like walking in a minefield, you know, you step somewhere and boom, you go next step and again. So you can train one day with 2 people, next day with 5, we go to 10, and chances are that we'll go next week back to 2, and no way to predict it. So how you plan the season, and I'm really very impressed with the level of commitment of athletes of this year and this team, because they have to be highly self-motivated, and they are. And I appreciate it, and we all as coaches can see it on daily basis. You know, we had to move out of the campus. We moved to underground. We train pretty much in basement. We train in sheds. We train all over the place because at some point we were always hitting the wall, restricted, going a little bit back. So all those challenges in a life, and especially this year, would bring whole new generation of people. They can adapt. They can take care of things instantly and adapt to new situation. And that's my new experience. You know, it's nothing what I was working 30 years in well-known territory, and I'm working in totally new place with no previous experience beneficial.
Yeah,
Hey, Richard.
we're kind of on that boat where the target's moving all the time right now, Tim.
Richard, that's the problem. You're moving from shed to shed. You're always breaking the rules. You've always broken the rules. I'll tell you one thing Sue had put on the thing, she wanted to know something humorous, right? So I had to dig in my brain for something humorous to roast Richard, breaking the rules. So one day we used to use the swimming pool and the ice rink for training back when Richard and I were there together, which was great. So one day Richard says, well, I'll take the gang up to the ice rink. So he goes to the ice rink, and a couple hours later, he comes back down to the ski building, walks into my office and goes, gosh, team, gosh. Anytime Richard lowered his head like that, looked out through the top of his head with his eyes and went, gosh, Tim, I knew it was a big problem. And I said, Richard, what happened? Is everybody okay? Gosh, Tim, gosh, no, gosh. Well, during this time, there was a young figure skater named Debbie Thomas who was training at the CU ice rink. Her boyfriend was a student there with Dave Burton in the training room. And Debbie was renting ice time in, as I remember, in the ice rink to do her training for her Olympics and World Championships and everything. Well, one of the things we used to do when we went to the ice rink, besides play a little hockey and so on and so forth, we'd set cones up around the rink and we'd work on balance and outside leg and outside pressure and going back and forth and come around the ring. Well, I guess this particular day, they got a little too aggressive and they kept going around the same route, around the same course, around the same course. Pretty soon, they dug some ruts into the ice that were 3 or 4 inches deep. And the ice manager came out and said, "What the hell are you guys doing? Do you know how long it's going to take to repair this rink so that Thomas can train out here?" Gosh, Tim, gosh, we got kicked out of the ice rink and he told us we can't go back the rest of this year. You're always breaking the rules, Rokos.
Well, you know that there is good rule of life. You have to have a record with police department and with church. And as long as you balance those two things between God and justice, you are fine. And I believe in it.
Do you remember that, Richard?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
I remember Debbie because she came to me after we were done and she said, "How do you expect me to train in those trenches there?" And
You know, I don't think you hurt her career too bad. She ended up doing just fine ultimately in the skating world when it was all said. Guys, I want to go around and just give you each one more opportunity just to, if you got a great story like that or a final thought about the ski program, or if you want to encourage people to come alongside the program and help out financially, again, cubus.com/skiball. Bill, we'll throw it to you first and let you kind of give your final comments or maybe a great memory you've got, whatever it might be.
No, you know, in listening to this, and we talk about history of success and tradition and transition, I think that the whole secret here has been everybody that took this job, everybody that has been in Richard or Tim or Paul's place didn't look back. They kept their eye on the horizon and figured out how to get better. And that's, you know, you don't, so there is, as Richard said, you don't have time to think about, you know, what's happened before you. And frankly, you use that as a launch pad, and then you got to look forward, think about what you got to do the next day. And I think that's been the ingredient that has made all of this possible. And Richard, whoever we hire, we just got to say the same thing: hit the ground running.
Yep. Yep.
Tim Hinderman, how about you?
You know, as you go through life and various phases and year by year and whatever, you're constantly learning and changing as an individual based on this whole composite of experiences year in and year out. And ever since having been at the University of Colorado and a part of that program, fortunate for me, on a number of levels, from that time on, as I continue to grow and look back on the things that have really helped me to do everything I've done since then, I've always appreciated, always respected, and always remembered that, you know, that the building blocks that made up who I became after that I was very fortunate to have been in an environment where I could have those kind of experiences to benefit from for the rest of my life. And I can't, you can't even express how important that is and how much I appreciate it and to have been a part of that.
Good stuff. Paul Major, how about you? Got a final comment or thought from you?
Yeah, I think I can speak for everybody, but, you know, I think at the end of the day, we all feel like we're the luckiest people around, right? Whether a coach, an athlete, you know, somebody that supports the skee ball, we're lucky because we're part of a great tradition and greatness. And that, you know, that is, we are just very lucky to be part of this program. And however we got there, whatever we did, whether it's just, you know, whether it's being part of the skee ball, whether, again, being an athlete, a coach, or any part of that, because, you know, being part of something that's great, which is what CU skiing is unique in somebody's life. So.
Good stuff. And TIm LaVallee, final comment. I love, by the way, with that Maine accent here, you say Coach McCartney. That's outstanding. But give us a final
Mr.
comment.
Mister, I'll tell you, you ever come to Maine, we'll go down on the coast and get some lobster and clams and have a good time. I might even take you sea kayaking if you want to do it.
Oh, love it, love it. I don't know if you ever crossed paths with the first Coach Mac in my life was Dick McPherson, a great Maine native who coached the University of Syracuse and also
Massachusetts, Maine, yep.
Oh yeah, no, I got used to that Maine accent out there. Give us your final thoughts on this our virtual ski ball.
I'd leave it at this, and I guess I'm going to reflect what Tim and Paul have already said, but I am truly grateful for the opportunity that Bill Marolt gave me at the University of Colorado. I learned so much, and like Tim said, I got better afterwards, and so I'm thankful. Richard, you and I have been friends ever since it began and continue to be friends. And I want that to last until the day I leave. And I thank you for all that you helped me with, all the guidance that you gave me, all the support that you gave me and the athletes. And I want to thank as much the athletes that came through the doors at the University of Colorado during the time that Richard and I were together. Before we all got on here, I was reminiscing with probably 30 names that I remembered with Richard and John Skyam, Laura Flood. Thank you very, very much to the CU family, the CU community for the opportunity, and to Bill for the opportunity that you gave me to be part of the family.
Good stuff. And Coach Rokos, your final skee ball as the head coach. And again, we know you'll be there next year for when we celebrate officially the 50th skee ball, when we all get back together. But you got the ski season ahead of you. You got a lot on your plate. I know that. I'm sure there are things you think about entering your final season, but give us a final comment or two before we wrap up this virtual event.
Well, just thinking what has been said right now, this final round, I have to resonate with every single statement because it's lifetime experience. It's fabulous. It has been for everybody, coaches, athletes, and going back to skee ball and why we are here today and having this discussion. Skee ball, it's in my opinion, most fantastic social gathering I ever saw. I don't think there is too many sports they have something like this, and skee ball for me was always more like keeping friendships alive, and that side effect of raising money was secondary in my mind, because I thought, like, as long as we can, communicate, stay together, we don't have that opportunity this year. And I'm looking forward to next year to celebrate 50th anniversary in person, in old style and fashion. And again, the money we didn't have, we will need it. And I hope that this event will help to raise the money and give us a little more to go through the season, get the tough time, and come back with in full blast and full strong team.
Well, there's no doubt. We look forward to getting together. And again, I'll pass along that message from Sue that all of you are ordered to be there next year as we'll celebrate coaching excellence in what then will be the 50th anniversary of the skee ball. Tim, Paul, Bill, thank you all for being here. Coach, obviously, good luck in the upcoming season. And for all of you viewers out there, once again, it's a challenging time, obviously, for all of us. We all know that over the last 6 or 8 months. It certainly is a challenging time in college athletics. And we just encourage you to visit the website, cubuffs.com/skee-ball, and come alongside. And as you've done so amazingly over the years, just come along and support this ski program and send them off to another successful year. So we thank all of you for joining us. It's not quite the same as getting together and having a great skee ball, but it's what we had in 2020, this odd year in which we're all kind of navigating right now. And we'll look forward to getting together in person next year for that 50th anniversary Skee Ball in 2021. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for supporting the Colorado Buffaloes and especially the ski program. I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. We'll just leave you by saying go Buffs, and we'll see you next year.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.